Yeah, we're harvesting tomatoes.
Everything is fine here on Detention Black AA23, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Mike, joined with Dustin here to talk some Star Wars with everyone. Just as a reminder, we are live, so bring us your questions, comments, opinions, all of the above. Give us your insight on how to grow pumpkins. I know Dustin's got 3 pumpkins that are growing right now. And
What did you say?
Didn't you say 3? You have 3?
Oh, I got more than 3.
Oh, I thought you said 3.
I have 2 different kinds. I have 3 bigger pumpkins growing.
Oh, you got 3 bigger. Okay.
And I probably have like 4 or 5 of the. So I planted pumpkin pie pumpkins because you eat those, and then I planted lanterns, which you don't.
Okay.
Eat.
Except the seeds, right? You can cook the
You
seeds.
can absolutely. People find them.
I love the seeds.
I love the seeds.
Put Lowry salt on them. So
I've
good.
seen that. I do a lot of times like cinnamon sugar.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah.
And Dustin and I might have watched the same sex ed video for growing pumpkins if you are having issues with bumblebees in here.
If you just stop that sentence that we watched the same sex ed video, there was no context. It's pretty funny. What are these idiots? We don't know how. We make kids.
Should we just spend this whole episode just live streaming that video for pumpkins, sex ed pumpkins?
I mean, there's not a lot of Star Wars stuff out there right now, so I mean,
that's true.
Bits and pieces of news here and there, but yeah, we could talk about pumpkins all day or how freaking hot it is today.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, are you staying cool over there? Or?
I'm in the basement, dude. It's 60 degrees down here.
It's same here. I was wearing a long sleeve I was wearing a sweatshirt earlier because it was so cold down here, and I love it. But it's like it's roasting hot in the bedroom because obviously it's the top floor. So I don't know why I said obviously. Bedrooms aren't always on the top floor, but either way.
I think a lot of the split levels or the 2 stories, they are on the upper level.
Yeah.
My parents, because they're old, when they built their house and they knew they were going to grow old into the house, they put theirs on the main level.
Okay.
Because they have a 2-story, so theirs is on the
well, that's smart because I require cooler temperatures when I sleep.
Oh, me too. I'm the same.
So when the bedroom's on the main level, that's probably at the perfect spot for temperature wise because your thermostat is usually on your main level, which is where the temperature is going to be registered. So yeah, like because we set our AC to 67 degrees. So down in the basement, it's like 60 degrees. And upstairs, well, today it's probably like 75, 80 degrees up in the bedroom.
Galley sets ours at 73.
Ooh, that's warm.
Yeah. You're telling me, bud.
But anyways, I'm sure people don't want to hear about our temperatures in our house. But we do have a few little news bits. We're on a short leash in terms of time today, so we'll keep this short. And to your point, Dustin, there's just not much going on until the Ahsoka show debuts, which will be August 23rd. We'll make sure to bring recaps for those episodes when that time comes. And I was mentioning to Dustin this earlier, our 3rd anniversary is coming up. I think it's August 10th. It's either August 10th or 11th. So we've almost been doing this for 3.
Hard to forget my anniversary because my kid was born 2 days before.
Okay.
I have that vivid memory of like, my wife just had a C-section. She can't have booze.
Yeah.
There's certain foods you can't eat because of the pain medication she was on. So like we're in the hospital and we're eating like sushi with. I bought her fake champagne, like the stuff you would get like.
Sure, man, sushi in a hospital. I know it wasn't hospital sushi.
No,
you
I
brought in.
Really got it.
Yeah, but just the thought of like hospital sushi just seems pretty gross. I'm not a fan of sushi in the first place. So,
sushi.
Well, that's true. I wouldn't even touch that stuff. All right, so just a couple of news bits. So Disney Plus sets Massive Star Wars budget for 2024 shows. So it sounds like, even though Bob Iger's been talking about cutting things back a little bit, seems like the budget is expanding. Now, that's kind of, I think more context is usually needed for this, because inflation alone, over time you spend more money. So who knows if that's a cause of it. But from the sound of it, at least according to this, they'll be putting more money into their budget for their streaming service shows for Star Wars. So as Disney reevaluates its streaming strategy, its rampant spending looks like it will start to die down, or at least that is what the Disney CEO Bob Iger has said. So kind of going along what I said. The Acolyte show, though, the cost of that for pre-production is $49.2 million. Now that is
canceled or something?
No, that's still going on. There were rumors going back and forth based off of what I think it was the director, some comments that was said, but I don't know if that's actually true in terms of it being canceled. So yeah, the Acolyte is costing $49.2 million in pre-production, which is $5.5 million more than the feature film Rogue One. That was $43.7 million. And the spending for the Acolyte is only 17% more on pre-production costs. Oh, sorry. It was only 17% more for The Last Jedi than for this show. So that's saying a lot. Like, you would expect the featured films to have way higher budgets than these TV streaming services. I just wonder, how sustainable do you think streaming services are for big franchise, like movie companies?
So
like
I was listening to a podcast. They were kind of talking about this, that like this actor strike might backfire on the actors if they realize, because they're seeing all these big budgeted things come out with like Netflix, HBO Max, or now just Max, whatever.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime. And they're thinking like there's just raking in money. But could be that these companies are running in the red, right, to produce all this content. So what it might do is these companies might say, well, we'll just drastically lower the amount of content we're creating. And then that's going to shrink the amount of projects that are going on, that the actors are going to have less and less roles to fight over. So that actually might backfire on them. And so, the point is, I think it could be that these streaming services are running at a pretty, low margin if they're making money at all. I mean, they're spending tons of money on all this stuff. And I mean, at some point, there's as many people that are going to sign up as you're going to get, right? You hit a critical mass. I know the population of Earth is growing, right? So maybe you'll get that like steady amount as more people are born.
You'll get a little incremental sales there, but how much? Who knows?
Yeah. And human beings in general are having less and less kids, right? I mean, the average is going down.
Yep.
It peaked. I think I think the peak was at the baby boomer stage, and most of those people are retiring and aren't buying streaming subscriptions, or if they are, they're getting old and they're going to stop.
This is why we won't have Social Security, because
yeah,
all of them are retiring, and then anyways,
I think the streaming service thing might be a bubble that could be not ready to burst, but the model doesn't make sense, so they're going to have to adjust it, or like the Cardinals suffer the consequences.
Had to put that plug in there, didn't you? I'm thinking about all the shows, like the successful shows that we've seen through streaming services. So like your Stranger Things, or Witcher, or
The Witcher's terrible right now.
Well, yeah, but the first 2 seasons were great. What are other like just straight to streaming service shows that have been successful?
Did you mention Stranger Things?
Yeah, Stranger Things is probably one of the biggest ones.
Game of Thrones.
but that was on HBO. That was HBO before like streaming services.
I'm sorry. You're talking about more like Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, like straight to Netflix.
I mean,
or
Mindhunter was big. I mean, there's so many. The Queen's Gambit.
yeah,
You know, Orange is the New Black was a big one. I mean, there's tons of them. Like even on Amazon Prime, there's been some big ones, like The Boys.
yeah.
Although I
just
think that one does weekly episodes.
I just feel like,
But like, what? And here's the question: like, I mean, so you pay for this subscription service, and you get the show.
yeah, yeah,
There's no ads, so they're not getting ad revenue, right? So, like, you know, a lot of times, if you hear all about like what these advertisers are paying for Super Bowl commercials,
yeah,
it's because there's so many eyeballs on the Super Bowl.
yeah,
you know, they can charge those kind of rates.
yeah.
Well, you know, even though there's tons of eyeballs on these really popular shows, there's no advertisement revenue, right? Maybe a little bit because you have maybe the plan where you get, you know, forced to watch advertisement. But a lot of people are paying a couple more bucks to not have that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think probably what you're going to start to see is there's just not going to have that plan anymore where you can skip ads.
Yeah, and
suck. And they probably won't let you fast forward.
Yeah. Well, and some streaming like Paramount Plus, there's ads.
Yeah.
Like all the NBC ones, because
Peacock
has ads and everything. So, but what I was thinking though, because we're talking about how much money is getting put in to these streaming services, but I feel like if you did a ratio of the amount of money spent compared to the quality of product that's coming out, it's decreasing. Like your investment is,
it's like on a this scale, and then
yep. As money gets spent, more money spent, like quality goes down. And I think that I'm sure there's many factors that go into that. I mean, there are a lot of things that are still recovering from the situation of COVID. You've got the writers' strike and the actors' strike going on right now. But it just doesn't seem sustainable to have all these streaming services and continue to spit out all this quality. Because what I was going to ask is, of these streaming, like straight to streaming shows, what are shows that have been more successful than like counterparts in like movie franchise? Like if you look at Marvel, like the Marvel shows just have never really surpassed the Marvel movies. The Star Wars shows haven't really surpassed the Star Wars movies. So
speaking of that, and I would say, you know, probably Mandalorian is a counter to that.
Except season 3, it's like it's following the same thing with Witcher. Yeah. Like season 1 and 2 were received very well. Season 3 is kind of
But have you seen any of the Secret Invasion show?
No.
I've heard it's gotten just awful reviews.
Well, everything Marvel related has been
50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Everything on Marvel recently has been terrible. Well, not terrible, has been receiving poor reviews. Like shows, straight to the shows.
Well, and speaking of you know, quality of streaming versus movies, I mean, this past weekend, the Barbenheimer thing, like that was a huge success for movie theaters. I mean, you know, I think there's like $500 million of people going to see each of these movies. Right.
I think people still want to see these major movies in the theaters.
Yeah. I mean, I really want to go see Oppenheimer. I just don't know when
I was told you really want to go see the Barbie movie.
Me?
I
would see it. I don't care. I would do the Barbenheimer thing where you go see. I think you see Oppenheimer first because it's kind of a depressing, heavy movie, and then you cleanse your palate with Barbie.
Have you seen some of the memes that have been coming out with that? With those two shows?
No.
Oh my god! Some of them I don't want to say it on this, so when we close, I'll tell you. But I don't want me verbally speaking and everyone being able to hear it. So. But there's been some pretty funny memes out there. A lot of comparisons. Like the lead of Oppenheimer was a psychotic guy from the Batman series, Christopher Nolan's Batman series.
Yeah, he was the guy who used all the gas.
The Scarecrow. And then Margot Robbie also played a psychotic person within a Batman series of Harley Quinn. So
DC.
Yep. So just some interesting overlaps in those two movies, and they were released at the same time, and it's producing hilarious memes. So, anyways, getting back to what we were talking about. I mean, streaming services, they aren't going to go away, but I really think that they need to be more intentional and a little more strategic on what they bring out. Because, I mean, have you watched Yellowstone?
Yes.
Did you like it?
I really like certain aspects of it. I heard somebody call it landscape porn, you know? Like,
Oh,
like the scenage is phenomenal.
yeah,
But, like
yeah.
the plot is so dumb. Like apparently because you're like the livestock commissioner, that just gives you, I mean, you're like basically a mob boss, you know?
In Montana?
Yeah. I mean, they're just like shooting up like towns and no one, there's no consequences for anybody.
I love it.
It was so beyond the suspension of disbelief in some cases.
Sure.
Like, people are getting blown up and surviving, you know? But then you like shake up a freaking cooler and throw a rattlesnake at somebody and the guy dies in 10 seconds.
That is true.
Which,
That's funny.
That's one of my favorite scenes, even though it's completely unbelievable. Like you
Yeah.
get bit by a rattlesnake, you just that's not how it works.
Have you seen 1883 or 1923?
I have not. I've seen 1883. 1883 is a
Don't say it. We're watching it. We're like 4 episodes in, and it's amazing so far.
Correct, and it just keeps getting better and better. It's a masterpiece. I've not seen 1923. I didn't even know what streaming platform it is because it's been weird.
Paramount Plus.
Yeah, okay, because like, but Yellowstone's on Peacock.
Yeah.
Well, and here's this is where the streaming services get you, and this is the dad talking to me. This is where they get you. I mean, I've not seen a program on Peacock since 1883, which is over a year ago, and I've just continually paid the $6. And I need to start like reining that in.
Well, it stinks because I used to get mine free through Xfinity, and now they just like as a month ago they started charging $2.99 for it because I have
$2.99 is better than the $6.99 or whatever.
Yeah, so it's not bad.
These internet companies, or these traditional cable companies, are subsidizing some of that.
Streaming services are the new cable. Like it's
It's
like meaning people got away from cable.
Oh yeah, we're gonna raise your bill by $1 or $2 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like soon enough, it's gonna be like $40 a month.
Yeah.
YouTube is the worst, man. I mean, YouTube is like it's like crazy money per month to do the live with sports. It's like worse than cable.
Do you know what's been making its way back?
And I still have cable rules. Like I can't just watch any NFL program. I'm stuck with what's on local cable.
Yeah.
Which for my fantasy team, which I'm gonna fucking win this year in our league.
Yeah, I gotta send out that league invite.
In our other league, the guillotine one, where it like goes your head. The way they bracket this year is you fill out, the way they do the draft lottery is you fill out a you fill out a Women's World Cup bracket, and whoever like has the best points. I have USA going all the way. I think I have them beating.
Who are the big teams? Germany, England, Spain.
I think I have beating England. I think it's going to be US and England in the final.
Okay,
I think I'm fucked because the Philippines beat
England.
No, they didn't beat England.
Oh,
the Philippines or some like smaller country team beat I think the Netherlands or something.
Well, the Netherlands are playing us right now.
Yeah,
we're losing 1-0 to the Netherlands. Shit. That's what I got on right now.
So this is just pool play, though, right?
Yeah, it's group. We beat Vietnam, so like even if we lose to the Netherlands, as long as we win the next game, like that's no problem. The Netherlands should be a challenge for us. That's who we played, I think, in the finals 4 years ago for the Women's World Cup.
Yeah, I think you're right, because that was kind of a Cinderella story, and then we squashed that. So yeah. Anyway, I mean, I know there's not a lot of Star Wars stuff, and I do find the streaming things fascinating. I know we're kind of running low on time. So if you have some other things you want to discuss.
No, not really.
Very excited for Ahsoka, of course.
Yeah.
You know, you got our first look at Thrawn. I think since we last podcasted.
Yep.
I think he looks phenomenal. You know, I heard he kind of switched up his voice a little bit. Like he said that, like the actor.
Yeah, Mickelson.
Yeah, I don't want that. I hope that's because the way he speaks in the cartoons is really.
I just honestly want a good product. Just give me like an Andor quality product with
By the way,
Ahsoka.
did you see the link I sent you in the group chat like a couple weeks ago?
Which
It
one?
was last week. They got so they're continuing the Old Republic first original series. The next book that come out is after the Star.
The High Republic or the High Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new book. When is that
going back? It's going forward.
It's going forward. Yeah.
So fucking confusing. I don't know why they did this.
Yeah. I figured that's what they would do. They would, because how they left off the original phase 1 release, it left it open. So you figured they were at least going to come back to that. You would hope that they would have come back to that for this phase 2, but phase 1 or phase 2 was not good. I'm sorry.
No. No.
It was
I didn't care about
unnecessary. Yeah.
It was not as bad as, of course, the Fallen Order book piece of absolute trash.
Yeah.
Like literally one thing came from that book, and that was Grease's arm.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
There was
amputated.
Nothing else.
Or cut off. Yep.
No, I mean, in fact, like they almost retconned the romance because now you have. I mean, okay, survive.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, I guess, for a game that's months old, but now Marin's all into our boy.
Well, they kind of led into that at the end of that book.
Couldn't remember.
Didn't they lead that? They kind of planted that seed at the end of
not really.
the book.
I didn't get that sense.
I got it a little bit. That they planted the seed. There wasn't any, because she started saying like he's the only one that's been there and kind of been a protector of us, but I don't know. Either way,
have you beaten that game yet?
No.
Oh.
I haven't even picked it up since baby came.
Come on.
It's great though so far.
Killing me.
I know, and I've been live streaming my plane, and I haven't picked it up in a while, so I need to get on that. Hey, if baby comes along, it makes things challenging in terms of having your own time. So I'm sure you're well aware of that, and now you've got double trouble coming up. So, yeah. So nothing really else that I have. I am good. Softball is over for a few weeks. We're in between summer and fall. So I have like 3 weeks where I don't have any softball. So then my Wednesday I'm dedicating to being able to podcast. So I should be able to have some recordings the next couple of weeks. And the only other thing I had here, and we'll talk about it at another time, but talking about how some of these movies potentially might bring back some of George Lucas's like original sequel trilogy plans, like some of the elements. Like he wanted to dive into midichlorians, he wanted to dive into the wills and everything. So that might get entered into like James Mangold's film. So just things to kind of discuss, but
yeah. And I'll say this, like the midichlorians that was like a big thing when people did not find to be a good element. But I read the Plagueis book and they were in there quite a bit, and it kind of gives some context to it. So I don't mind those as much.
I don't mind it, but I like the aspect of if there are no midichlorians, that means anyone can become force sensitive and become a Jedi. I kind of like that, or not necessarily a Jedi, just a force wielder. Because if you have midichlorians, you're kind of pigeonholing who can be a force wielder and who can't. So
just inject that shit into my veins.
There you go. Do it up. All right, so I will wrap everything up going over our social media handles. So you can find us on Twitter at DepBlockAA23pod, on Instagram at detention_block_AA_23, and then our Facebook group and YouTube channels, Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. Bring us your likes, follows, downloads, subscriptions, reviews, all of them. We greatly appreciate it, and it helps get our podcast name out there, especially since we haven't been able to record much recently. So we could use all the help we could get right now.
Please.
Yeah, begging but not begging.
I'll beg. I have no shame.
Okay, all right, no shame there. And also beg for our ladies to score a couple goals and win today's game. But any final thoughts, Dustin?
Obviously being a parent now, all of us are parents. So it's pretty exciting. Now we can, talk about our dad things. I got to get you a pair of some New Balance whites,
Yeah, and cargo shorts and like a polo shirt. Should I? High tube socks, or all that.
And now this is, you'll find you'll add this to your collection in a couple of years, but the cell phone holder on the side of the khaki pants.
Gosh, it's just like all those Dr. Rick Progressive commercials.
It's 100% that.
I love those.
I literally, I was a little late today because I fastened our dresser in our toddler's room. I put the anchors, right? And I literally looked and said, that's not going anywhere.
That is,
and I thought to myself, you're damn right, it's not.
That's hilarious. It's so true, though. It's like those Dr. Rick commercials are just becoming relatable. It's like, oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like the most recent one, it was about social media. And it's like, do we really need 47 pictures of so-and-so's birthday?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, Mudge, because you literally are that person. What is happening?
Hey, I've always been that way, even before I was a parent, even before I was a homeowner.
And
so
take the hint.
Well, Colleen does it even more than I do. So
yeah, but at least both of you guys. I mean, I don't know if there's enough social media space for the rest of us. Like, you're literally what's killing Facebook.
Hey, we're taking advantage of free space.
It's not free, man. You're the product.
But you have the option of like not following, so you can't get upset at us. You can only be upset at yourself.
I don't really use Facebook much anymore.
I know. And really, I just use it as a free storage service for my photos because, we're talking about streaming services and paying money. Like storage, like the cloud, you got to spend money. So you don't have to spend money on Facebook, and you can upload them and then later download them if you want. So note to self, if you take a lot of pictures like my wife and I do.
$1 a month it takes to get the cloud storage.
It all adds up. You could use that to get Paramount Plus.
That's another dad saying they should do that one. Oh, it all adds up. What are we heating up the neighborhood?
I was just going to say that. What are we heating up outside? That's too funny. All right. Well, with that, we will wrap it up. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your evening. We'll be back next week. And then, as I said, we're getting closer to our 3-year anniversary. So you can send us a 3-year anniversary gift by submitting a good review.
Podcast.
I'm ready whenever. Whenever we want to do it, we can do it at Under Pressure Brewery.
I'm in too, man. You just let me know.
Sounds good. All right. Well, as always, may the force be with you.
And also with the U.S. women's national team. Let's go.